witnessed the scene before them. The entire hillside behind the village seemed alive, as if a dragon was turning over. Under the yellowish mud flow, trees were instantly swept away. Accompanied by the sound of snapping, the yellow mudslides surged toward the village like a raging tide. Oh my goodness! Is this a mudslide? This is a super landslide. It's over, streamer, run. What are you running for? There are still children to save. Quickly take the children and run. Run. In an instant, the entire live stream chat was filled with chaos. As someone caught in the middle of it, Teacher Ma watched the mudslide rushing toward the village, completely losing his ability to think. It was only then that he remembered seeing on the electronic map a few days earlier that there was a small reservoir in the mountains. Because no one has been managing it for a long time, the dam of the reservoir has long been in disrepair. This village is located downstream of the dam. It seems that excessive rainfall has caused the dam to breach. Boom. Accompanied by terrifying mudslides, the ground beneath Teacher Ma's feet began to tremble. At that moment, he suddenly woke up. Quick, take the children and run. Realizing the situation, Teacher Ma shouted frantically. Without hesitation, he ran next door. He clearly remembered that the neighbor was an elderly woman with mobility issues, living with her granddaughter. Given the urgent situation, there was no time to waste. Every life counted. The large raindrops hit his face painfully. However, at that moment, Teacher Ma felt no pain. All he could think about was saving people. Chapter 234, Auntie, run. Boom. The dam has burst. The flood erupted violently, and the entire mountain seemed to come alive. The beautiful mountain village that Teacher Ma remembered was shattered in an instant as he desperately raced into the neighboring yard. Auntie, don't worry about the chickens and ducks. Hurry up and go. Upon entering the yard, Teacher Ma saw the elderly woman still trying to herd the chickens and ducks inside, and he became anxious. He rushed into the house and saw a little girl helping her grandmother. Without a word, he picked up the girl and turned to pull the elderly woman through the storm. Auntie, hurry and run. A mudslide is coming. Teacher Ma shouted. And just as his words fell, a terrifying crashing sound was heard. Boom. The muddy waves roared in, producing a tremendous rumble. The massive water waves surged like a dragon-esque breath, suspended in midair. The rolling roar, reminiscent of dragons and tigers, changed everyone's expression dramatically. Boom. The towering yellow waves flooded into the village in an instant. Feeling the violent tremors beneath their feet, everyone was frozen in shock in the face of this overwhelming natural disaster. At this moment, everyone felt insignificantly small. Teacher Ma's expression was extremely grim. He disregarded everything and desperately pulled the elderly woman while holding the child, running toward the highest point in the village. Suddenly, he remembered a phrase he had seen online before. A story is something that happens to others. When it happens to you, it's an accident. Uncle Lu, hurry up and run. What are you still doing with that cow? As Teacher Ma dashed out of the yard, he immediately saw old Lu, who was trying to escape while holding onto an old cow, and he jumped in anxiety. This is a member of our family. I can't leave it behind. Even when disaster struck, old Lu was reluctant to abandon his old yellow cow, pulling on it desperately. However, in the face of disaster, the animal's instinctive fear caused it to run wildly. How could a frightened cow be controlled by an old man? Helpless, old Lu had to jog along with the cow in another direction. Seeing this, Teacher Ma grew even more anxious. But he still had people in his arms and hands. With no other choice, he could only take the elderly woman and the little girl toward the high ground first. Boom. But with a roar like rolling thunder, the muddy water surged down from the mountain, instantly sweeping old Lu and the cow away. Uncle, Teacher Ma shouted instinctively. But the next second, he felt a terrifying force crashing down on him. In that moment, he realized it was a mudslide. The overwhelming yellow waves swallowed him whole. He tried to hold the child tightly or grasp the elderly woman's hand. But under this apocalyptic mudslide, he could only struggle instinctively. In that struggle, the child in his arms disappeared, and the old hand he was holding also vanished. The terrifying mudslide engulfed the entire village. The only thing the teacher could do was to hold his breath tightly, gritting his teeth to endure the excruciating pain coursing through his body. Unable to open his eyes, he could only go with the flow and leave his fate to chance. It was only then that he realized how small humanity was in the face of natural disasters. Teacher, oh no, this is too sudden. It's over, this is truly the end. People have been swept away into the muddy waters. In the face of natural disasters, everyone is equal. Friends, let us take a moment of silence for the teacher. As they saw the teacher being engulfed by the mudslide, the viewers in the live stream clenched their fists. The village has been destroyed. Will the teacher escape this calamity? And what about the villagers? Will they survive? Help! Help! Woo-woo! Grandpa! Grandpa! Save me! Amidst the torrent of yellow mud, various cries for help could be faintly heard. Yet those calls received no response. The viewers in the live stream gradually fell silent, all pondering. If it weren't for this live stream, how many people would even know that this remote mountain village was currently facing disaster? The mudslide roared, shaking the ground. The murky mud and water, mixed with soil and debris, would instantly smash anyone caught in it. The entire mountain village turned into a hell on earth. The terrifying mudslide was like a beast with a gaping maw, instantly swallowing everything whole. In the face of such a vast disaster, humanity truly feels small. The roaring mudslide destroyed everything in sight. The traces of the entire village were wiped away in an instant. The elderly, children, and women in the village were all swept away by the mudslide in an instant. They had no strength to resist, only able to be consumed by the mudslide, washed away to their deaths by this horrific flood. What is even more tragic is that what happened here may never be known, because this place is just too remote. By the time someone discovers it at the market, everyone will probably have turned into decaying corpses. As the mud flowed through, everything was destroyed. The already fragile rural houses collapsed under this terrifying force, merging with the mudslide. What met the eyes was a scene of devastation. The sounds that filled the ears were desperate cries of anguish. Yet, all of it was drowned in this horrifying disaster. In the murky, rushing mud, a hint of crimson could be seen. Even the air was filled with a mixed scent of earth and blood. The turbulent waves continued to surge, roaring as they washed away everything in sight. At this moment, the village and hillside seemed to be experiencing the apocalypse. Watching this scene unfold, the viewers in the live stream found their eyes moistening unconsciously. The sight of the destruction caused by the mudslide was truly heartbreaking and shocking. They can responsibly say that this is the most terrifying and heartbreaking scene they have ever witnessed in their peaceful lives. There is no exception. The root cause of all this disaster is merely a heavy rain. No one expected that such a storm could trigger such a horrifying catastrophe. Some female friends couldn't help but pull out tissues and quietly sob. Even those male friends who considered themselves strong found their hearts filled with mixed emotions at this moment. Some idealists even fantasized about whether they could have entered the game and known about the storm in advance. Perhaps they could have prevented this disaster. It must be said that this seemingly ordinary and simple village truly captivated them. However, what no one expected was that the old trickster would create a beautiful, idyllic life for them, only to ruthlessly destroy it. One must admit, the old trickster is truly ruthless. The live broadcast continues as mudslides destroy houses and sweep away villagers. The raging, murky waters continue to roar, engulfing everything in front of everyone. Chapter 235. Blowing up his house with a gas tank, the raging waters roared. As house after house was swept away in the colossal waves, one after another, pitiful elderly individuals and children were engulfed by the torrent. It is said that a person's potential is boundless in extreme situations. However, under the floodwaters that surged like a mighty river, even those who clung to a life-saving plank could not escape the fate of being swept away by the raging mudflow. Even if they held onto trees for dear life, they still could not resist the power of the flood. One by one, figures made of mud floated like debris in the water, rising and falling. No matter how they struggled and cried out, they ultimately could not escape the fate of being swallowed. At that moment, a heart-wrenching scene unfolded before the viewers. An elderly man was desperately holding onto a little boy, seemingly using all his strength to push the boy away from the mudflow. Despite the murky water entering his eyes, the old man was making every effort to save the boy. Even though his whole body trembled and he had lost all strength and even sensation, he still clung to the last hope. But natural disasters are ruthless, and floods are merciless. In the end, the scene everyone hoped for, a rescue of the grandfather and grandson, did not materialize, and they were swallowed up by the muddy waters, disappearing without a trace. Woo-woo. I want to kill that old man, Len. It's so frustrating to be stabbed for no reason. How heart-wrenching. Who says it shouldn't be like this in the movie plot? As the grandfather and grandson completely vanished from sight, the viewers in the live stream began to complain. The instigator of all this, Lin Fei, certainly wouldn't escape the fate of being cursed. At this moment, the entire internet was berating him. However, this had no effect at all. The disaster in the game continued unabated. The female viewers in the live stream were already in tears, their tears falling like pearls that had broken free from a string. Woo-woo. Help. Grandpa. I'm so scared. Woo-woo. Just when everyone assumed that the grandfather and grandson were in grave danger, a heart-wrenching cry echoed from the muddy waters. As the cries sounded, the perspective on the screen shifted to a forested area. There, a little boy, covered in mud, was trapped in the branches of a tree, with the cold, murky water washing over him. Where was his grandfather? Upon seeing the little boy, the audience instantly recognized him and widened their eyes, searching for the old man's figure. However, after searching for a while, they were disappointed. In the raging mudflow, aside from the little boy, they saw no other figures. The boy was stuck in the tree. His face, covered in mud, had red eyes filled with despair and fear. He kept calling out, but around him, there was no sound besides the roar of the flood. Boom. The waves were wild, the water flow rapid, mixed with mud and stones. The helpless cries of the little boy pierced the air, capturing the hearts of all the viewers, who were all focused on him at that moment. They clenched their fists, imagining the figure of a rescuer appearing at any moment. Suddenly, a more terrifying sound erupted. All the viewers in the live stream were startled. Hurry, get to higher ground. Move, kid. Oh my gosh, this is infuriating. Climb up quickly. Watching the wave of water rushing down the hillside, everyone in the live stream panicked. But no matter how much they flooded the screen with messages, no matter how loudly they shouted, the little boy seemed frozen in fear, staring helplessly at the approaching torrent. With a thunderous roar, a tree as thick as an adult's thigh snapped in the face of the monstrous wave and debris. The tree broke, taking the child on it with it, disappearing from sight. Inside the live stream, apart from the surging water, there was nothing left. The tree, the little boy, all vanished from their view. Everyone seemed to lose their souls. Some even appeared as if all their strength had been drained, slumping against the sofa in shock. The rampaging debris flow engulfed half of the forest. The terrifying landslide completely altered the previous landscape. From a distance, it seemed as if that half of the mountain had come to life. Meanwhile, the torrential rain continued, and the rushing debris flow showed no signs of stopping. The flood, mixed with trees and rocks, rushed down the mountain, heading fiercely toward the town below. Days of relentless rain had caused the water levels in the already low-lying Xifang town to rise significantly. In some areas, flooding had already occurred. All the government officials in Xifang town were busy with disaster relief efforts. Just then, a monitoring staff member, who had been tracking the water levels, suddenly heard a strange noise. Instinctively, he looked toward the source of the sound, and in the next moment, he was frozen in place. He saw the mountain in the storm, as if a dragon was turning over, with waves of yellow water rushing towards them. Startled, the monitor quickly grabbed his phone to contact the leaders who were coordinating the rescue. By the time the higher-ups received the notification and confirmed the situation, the debris flow rushing down from the mountain had already reached the edge of the town. Xifang town had a population of around 10,000. Upon seeing the oncoming debris flow, the entire town instantly fell into chaos. In the blink of an eye, the debris flow surged into the small town. Although the situation caught everyone off guard, the viewers in the live stream felt that these people were much luckier than the villagers. At least they had the chance to prepare in sturdy concrete houses. In an instant, the debris flow swept through half the town. Boom! A residential high-rise suddenly collapsed. Those who had taken refuge on the rooftop instantly fell into the muddy water along with the collapsing building. The unfortunate ones didn't even have time to surface before being struck by debris in the water, losing consciousness immediately. Mom! Mom! The audience had just managed to calm down a bit when they were suddenly met with a heart-wrenching cry. The sound of a little girl crying echoed throughout the livestream. What on earth? This situation is unbearable. Who said otherwise? Why does it have to be so tragic? This is outrageous. Is there anyone willing to help me take action against that villain tonight? In times of disaster, what tugs at the heartstrings the most are those helpless children, and Lin Fei's actions were truly impressive. Under everyone's gaze, a little girl struggling in the water was desperately clinging to a concrete pole. It soon became clear that it was an electricity pole. The little girl, feeling utterly alone and hopeless, held on tightly, crying for help. Nan Nan. Just over 10 meters away, a woman crouching on a rooftop was screaming desperately at the girl. Ignoring everything, she got up from the roof and ran forward, trying to save the little girl. Chapter 236. One blade after another. Knives cry for everyone suddenly. The roaring waves surged, causing the entire house to shake. The woman who had just gotten up nearly fell into the water. In a critical moment, a man grabbed her clothing and pulled her back onto the roof. She was saved, but the little girl had vanished. Mom! Mom! At that moment, amidst the raging waters, a small head cried out desperately. The girl's voice cut through the hearts of everyone like a sharp blade. Nan Nan. The woman screamed in anguish. She disregarded everything and tried to get up to save the girl, but the man's hand held her firmly in place. Feeling the strong grip, the woman went wild, desperately trying to break free from the man's grasp. Let me go! Let me go! I need to save Nan Nan. No matter how frantically the woman struggled, the man never loosened his hold. You can't save her. If you go, it's a death sentence. This mudslide is full of debris. Anyone who goes in is doomed. I can't let you go to your death. It was as if the woman didn't hear the man's pleas. Looking at the water where her daughter had disappeared, her eyes turned bloodshot. The next moment, she made a shocking move. With red eyes, she turned back and bit down hard on the man's wrist. Her teeth sank deep into his skin. Let me go? Even if I die, I want to die with Nan Nan. If there's no Nan Nan, I don't want to live either. Let go of me. Despite the woman's frantic biting, the man gritted his teeth and held on. He understood that if he let go of her, that life would vanish before his eyes. He couldn't bear to watch a life disappear, even if it meant being hated by her. The surroundings were filled with the rumbling sounds of the mudslide and crashing waves. The little girl's figure had completely vanished. At that moment, the woman seemed to be drained of all her strength, collapsing onto the roof like a soulless being. Her pale, once beautiful face now looked lifeless, as if all vitality had been stripped away. She felt numb, like a living corpse. The man tried to pull her to a safer spot, but unexpectedly, when the woman looked up and saw his face, it was as if she had encountered her sworn enemy. She suddenly jumped up, raised her arm, and slapped the man across the face. Bastard, why? Why did you save me? Why wouldn't you let me die with her? I hate you. As the woman clutched his clothes and questioned him, the man remained silent, his eyes filled with sympathy for her. Ugh, I feel like killing him right now. Seriously, why did I even watch this live stream? It's just asking for trouble. Who says it's not? A game that can be so heart-wrenching. I can't watch anymore. I need to take a break. I have to say, such scenes are truly unbearable for the viewers in the live stream. Many people are shouting to log off and take a breather. However, the popularity and viewer count of the live stream continue to rise. Boom. This touching moment cannot stop the advance of the disaster. In the town, fearful screams rise and fall. Everywhere you look, there are shocking scenes of devastation. Wails, cries, and the sounds of torrential rain and mudslides create an extremely chaotic noise. The entire town is enduring the most terrifying disaster in history. At this moment, it feels like the sky is about to collapse. The sky is dark and ominous, and the heavy rain seems like it could drown the world. In the air, mixed with the scent of dirt, there is a faintly detectable smell of blood. This odor is repulsive, almost making one feel nauseous. Amidst the wreckage of the mudslide, clear traces of bright red can be seen. It can be said that this is a disaster of monumental scale, even in the minds of the local population. Such a terrifying natural disaster has never been witnessed. Soon, the mudslide swept through the town. The flood left behind only devastation, mud, and bodies faintly visible among the rubble. The entire town, not to mention the police force, even public officials are limited. In the face of such a massive disaster, those who survived spontaneously organized rescue teams. Quickly, the rescue teams came together, and the streets were filled with moving figures. As the rescue efforts continued, shocking scenes unfolded before the viewers. Although the mudslide had receded, the entire town was covered in thick mud. In some areas, the mud reached waist height, undoubtedly complicating the rescue efforts. However, as the rescuers waded through the mud, they accidentally stumbled upon something. When they dug it out, they discovered it was a human body. Throughout the day, bodies could be unearthed from various places in the town. The dim sky continued to pour rain. The rescue teams gathered the bodies they had found together. After the rain washed over them, the expressions of terror on the faces of the bodies became painfully clear. Just how many people have died? It's too terrifying. I don't feel scared. Looking at these bodies, I feel how small humanity is. Indeed, in the face of nature, we humans are actually nothing. As they looked at the mountain of bodies, the viewers in the live stream could no longer remain calm. Facing these shocking scenes, they couldn't help but wonder if they would survive if they encountered such a disaster. The images on the phone screens left everyone utterly shocked. No one expected that just a heavy rain could trigger such a terrifying disaster. Until this moment, some people began to think subconsciously. The root cause of this disaster was actually the abandoned reservoir in the mountain stream. There are quite a few such abandoned reservoirs in reality. This disaster has taken away too much: friends, health, careers, family. One could say that the people in this entire mountainous area have lost so much in this disaster. Moreover, life is truly fragile in the face of nature. Yet they are now living a worry-free life without ever reflecting on it. Now they realize how precious life is. At this time, the audience in the live broadcast did not send any chaotic comments. Instead, someone suggested, "Brothers, what do you think about establishing a charity organization ourselves? I'll take the lead, and let Teacher Mom manage it. Peanuts are not beans. Donated a sports car X2. This action from the netizen in the live broadcast immediately received support from many people. And after seeing his donation, many others began to follow suit. At this moment, Teacher Ma, still in a state of shock, suddenly reacted, "No, I can't do this. If it goes well, it's out of goodwill. If it doesn't, I'll be criticized." Chapter 237. New news from the penguins: doing it well is kindness. Doing it poorly is heartless. Such honest words can only be spoken by someone like Teacher Ma. However, there is no doubt that Lin Fei's game has once again brought tears to the players. It has also struck at the fragile parts of the human heart. This perfect disaster performance made the friends in the live stream cry uncontrollably. Afterward, some even commented, "I have to say, in terms of game production, Lin the old thief has a conscience." At the same time, he is repeatedly handing knives to the players. Indeed, this producer has a bit of conscience, but certainly not much. Oh my goodness, can you believe it? Our teacher just assigned homework in the group, asking us to write reflections on watching Teacher Ma's live stream. Wow, is your teacher perhaps a diehard fan of Player Nation? As Teacher Ma's live stream concluded, The live footage was edited into a video by online editing masters. The entire process, even after extreme editing, still lasted over 70 minutes. It can be said that this is an edit that rivals a movie. As soon as this edited video was uploaded online, it spread rapidly like wildfire. Within just a few hours, the view count reached a terrifying 100 million. The disaster edit became an instant sensation online, and people casually brought up its content during their conversations. The part of the video that resonated most with viewers and evoked sympathy was undoubtedly the two children swept away by the mudslide. At the end of the video, it is unclear whether Lin the old thief arranged it intentionally, but the rescue team dug out two children from the muddy sludge. The two children, pulled out, had bellies swollen like frogs and their bodies stiff like clay sculptures. This scene undoubtedly brought tears of sympathy to countless viewers. I have to say, the games from Player Nation have succeeded once again. At the same time, the name Lin Fei has once again entered the hearts of the public. Therefore, during this time, regardless of age or gender, everyone has Lin Fei's name on their lips. Of course, what they are saying is not exactly flattering, because Lin Fei is truly heartless. Inside the official television station's office building, this short film must be promoted. We must find a way to broadcast it. The station manager pointed to the edited piece titled Natural Disasters, related to the mudslide incident, on the notebook. Manager, this is just a small part of the game. There are still many more clips. Yes, manager, is it a bit unwise to make a decision so early? Should we observe a bit longer? An employee hesitated to advise, seeing their station highly recommending the Player Nation game edit. But one must know, right now, there is not just Teacher Ma live streaming the new game. The reason Teacher Ma stands out is that he was the first to end his stream. Meanwhile, other streamers have barely entered the main storyline, with some not even having seen the disaster yet. Although the teacher has gained popularity, his early departure from the broadcast has also created momentum for other streamers. Thanks to this initial success, the other streamers' channels are now bustling with viewers. Hearing the comments from the staff, the station director hesitated for a moment and said, "In terms of games, I may not be as good as you, but regardless, we must air this edited video. We're not doing this for the ratings, but to raise awareness. Within our country's borders, there are numerous reservoirs like this one. These seemingly harmless reservoirs actually pose safety risks. So I want to use this editing to alert the public." As shown in the footage, waiting until disaster strikes to react is too late. Upon hearing the director's words, the two employees fell silent. After a while, they said, "All right, we'll take on this task. Don't worry, we guarantee the video will be expertly polished. Boss, I assure you, I will personally oversee all the editing, and the entire process will be handled by a professional team." Kermack looked expectantly at Lin Fei in front of him. "Is the promotional video you were working on finished?" Lin Fei looked up at the foreigner before him. When this person first approached him, Lin Fei never imagined that he would collaborate with a renowned director in his lifetime. No, it was more like being recruited. Yes, recruited. When Kermack came to the country and met Lin Fei through connections, he happened to catch Lin Fei testing the game in the studio. At that time, Lin Fei was just being polite, inviting Kermack to play a couple of rounds. However, unexpectedly, this foreigner was quite committed and actually suited up to play. But who could have thought that once he started playing, Kermack immediately became immersed in the game world. As an international director, he had seen countless special effects. Yet, in this game world, Kermack realized that the special effects techniques he had once been proud of were child's play compared to what Lin Fei's game offered. He also discovered that the details of the entire game world could rival those of another realm. Deeply engrossed, Kermack felt as if he had discovered a new continent, and a new idea began to form in his mind to fulfill his cinematic dreams within the game world. He also recognized the numerous advantages of making movies in the game world. Most importantly, he could save all the actor fees while still creating characters he was satisfied with. Therefore, Kermack immediately decided to join the realm of players. When Lin Fei heard this request, his expression was quite remarkable. Although he rarely paid attention to the film industry, he was still well aware of Kermack's reputation. To have such an international director unconditionally join his realm of players sounded almost like a fairy tale. After trying various ways to persuade him and ultimately failing, Lin Fei decided to establish a subsidiary under the realm of players. The company known as DreamWorks has a surface-level leader, the renowned international director. In order to establish DreamWorks' reputation, a suggestion was made to tackle the project inspired by a certain crisis. Thus, a film that required no makeup artists or special effects, featuring only real appearances, began production. Everything was progressing smoothly until last night when the director, out of nowhere, came across a certain edited footage. Early this morning, he stormed into the studio, raising issues about copyright and insisting that he must personally direct the film. As for the game's CG and editing, the information had already been shared on social media previously. Online, both editors and players can reference all game CG and cutscenes without facing any copyright issues. This led to a surge of modified videos featuring the game's CG on the internet. Of course, it wasn't just videos. Even the game itself saw imitations. Among these, the most representative was a particular company. Today, this company, seizing the momentum from the recent project, suddenly announced some news. Chapter 238, Always Imitating, Never Surpassing Today. At the most prominent spot in the gaming news section of the world's largest gaming portal, a striking game poster has captured the attention of countless players. The background of the image features a skyline of varying heights, with metallic skyscrapers glowing with colorful neon lights and holographic advertisements, all showcasing high technology. In front of this backdrop are several scantily clad, stunning women in short skirts. Their figures are captivating, with minimal fabric covering them. However, what draws the most attention is not their alluring bodies, but the mechanical prosthetics they are wearing. The sleek mechanical arms, adorned with numerous intricate circuits and colorful tubes, are utterly mesmerizing, especially the woman at the forefront, whose athletic mechanical legs shine with a dazzling metallic luster. Opposite these beauties stands a group of grotesque mechanical monsters, embodying a brutal aesthetic and enormous size. At the top of the cover, a prominent title reveals its name, Cyberpunk 2121, in collaboration with a top Nordic studio. An epic masterpiece. Cyberpunk 2121 will go live today at noon. Welcome to make an early reservation. Let us join hands to create a brand new technological world. Cyberpunk. Upon seeing this name, netizens instinctively think of the mechanical city in the VR community. It goes without saying, this is likely another imitation. However, when the online community saw the production team, their eyes widened in disbelief. No way. Am I seeing this wrong? No, you're not mistaken. This is the team behind the renowned project. How could they possibly be hired by this company? Netizens confirmed repeatedly, even searching online for verification. They then discovered that the core members of the original team had all moved to develop projects in a different region. Moreover, there were even photos online capturing their team entering and exiting the company. This is huge. It seems like they are planning something big. After thorough comparisons, netizens returned to scrutinize the poster again. It must be said that the quality of the artwork on this poster is significantly more detailed than previous promotional materials. This promotional poster immediately attracted many players, sparking a small sense of anticipation. However, this anticipation was tempered, as all players understood one thing. Free games often come with limitations. To be honest, the mechanical-bodied beauties are indeed quite appealing. However, there is also a suspicion of false advertising. This is definitely typical of the company's style. In no time, opinions among netizens varied. Some were willing to cling to a glimmer of hope and give it a try, while others had long since lost interest. Fortunately, the game was set to launch soon, requiring no long wait for players, and this time, the company broke from its usual pattern. When noon arrived, the game was launched immediately, and it truly operated on a completely free model. At first, netizens were a bit apprehensive, fearing they might fall into a trap once they entered. However, when the first batch of users went online, they discovered that there wasn't even a recharge option available. It can be said that this game is truly free. This revelation immediately sparked heated discussions online. Meanwhile, some smaller streamers received invitations from a certain company, offering high salaries to live stream the game without any breach of contract conditions. The daily task was simple, just stream for over 120 minutes. This was basically a money-giving benefit, which made those small streamers excited to join the live streaming ranks. They didn't care about the game's playability. All they cared about was the money. Wow, this is from that company? Really? I can't believe it. They must have changed their CEO. I'm really impressed. They are indeed quite wealthy. With this kind of graphics, forget about it being free. It could potentially make money. They can't be serious, can they? When a small streamer named Purple Eggplant entered the game, the few viewers in the live stream were stunned by the visuals. When they learned the streamer was playing a game from that company, they had already lost all hope. However, they didn't expect the style of the live stream to be so different from the norm. Although the overall quality couldn't be compared to top-tier productions, the graphics of this game still surpassed 90 of games on the market. This change instantly lifted the spirits of all viewers. As Purple Eggplant continued streaming, the game officially began. Suddenly, the screen flickered, and the character named Purple Eggplant entered a teleportation device, arriving in a brand new realm. This was a vast, high-tech steel city. Standing on the street, the neon lights of shops on both sides illuminated the entire block. Pedestrians were bustling about, and occasionally characters with mechanical prosthetics would pass by. No one expected the game to dive straight into the action. It must be said that this time, that company really invested heavily. Yeah, but I don't know if it's just my imagination. Something feels off. I feel a bit strange too, but I can't quite put my finger on what's off. Looking at the high-tech visuals, the viewers still felt a bit uneasy. As a streamer who received money from the sponsors, Purple Eggplant didn't dare to comment much. On one side was the sponsor, and on the other were the ones who provided for him. He didn't want to offend either. This is the humility of a small streamer. With no other option, he controlled his character to walk deeper into the city. As the streamer progressed, the camera followed suit. Suddenly, a heavy footstep, like a pressure wave, echoed, and the next moment,